now it's been maybe a month since I last saw Star Wars 7 The Force Awakens on the big screen, and the reason why I took my time talking about it is because I'm a productive member of society and I didn't want to be a shithead about it and spoil the fucking movie on its opening week. Seriously, why would you do that? Oh yeah, there will be spoilers here because I figured the only way I could share my thoughts on this movie was to literally talk about them. So expect some spoilers. I like Star Wars. I mean, it's not a favorite of mine, but it was a nice franchise to grow up with, even if the prequels had more in common with those shitty telenovelas that plague local TV from where I come from. That being said, The Force Awakens is a good return to form for the franchise because it was a good Star Wars movie in every sense of the word. You got memorable characters, practical effects, a big story, and John Williams music, all of which helped make The Force Awakens a great holiday movie. But it wasn't all that. Now, I wasn't expecting it to be perfection incarnate, but I was at the least hoping for a brand new Star Wars adventure. Not a fucking rerun. The main problem with The Force Awakens is that it's nothing new. Say what you will about the prequel trilogy, but at least they tried something different. The Force Awakens, on the other hand, is just a greatest hits compilation of Star Wars' greatest moments. If you don't believe me, look at this fancy equation I made up during my free time. See anything familiar? Well, if you're as much a lonely movie nerd as I am, of course you have. It's the plot of the original Star Wars all over again, right down to the part where the cast enters the Mos Eisley Cantina. Only if it were friendlier and leafier this time around. While they were nice to see on screen, they felt more obligatory than anything, as seen in one of the most iconic elements the Star Wars universe had that The Force Awakens just had to borrow. Family connections. The thing with family connections in fiction is that it has to be properly built up, as seen in the original trilogy where the whole family ordeal of the Skywalkers took 3 movies to develop, and even if most of it was written on the fly, it was all properly set up, leading to character deaths and revelations with great weight to them. The Force Awakens, on the other hand, excitedly crams all the plot twists it could into one movie instead of saving them for the sequels. Things are so rushed in here that Kylo Ren kills his father Han Solo maybe half an hour after that ugly motherfucking alien from the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull told it to do so. Oh, and someone had to kill that old mentor dude because A New Hope did it too. At least Darth Vader and Luke had some time to think about their feelings before they tried to kill the living fuck out of each other. Speaking of Kylo Ren, am I the only one who noticed some weird trend where movie villains are turned into whiny man children with daddy issues? Because honestly, what the fuck is this? If you want an antagonist to be taken seriously, don't make them look childish and petty unless that's the actual goal. In Kylo Ren's case, it's hard to fear him when all of his motivations are revealed to be similar to that of an emo kid's ranting. So it was kind of funny how characters in the movie actually called him out on this. I can't take Kylo Ren seriously because he has a lot in common with that kid everyone hated in high school. Check it out. He wears nothing but the darkest black clothes available. He lashes out violently when things don't go his way, and he has a face that could fit perfectly in some young adult band. Kind of like the cast of Heathers. Only with lightsabers and more psychotic intentions. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for characters with parental issues, especially if it helps drive the story forward. And admittedly, Kylo Ren did look like a badass. But seeing some characters die at the hands of the bad guy who was motivated by the lack of attention from his daddy, that's just bullshit. Maybe this was intentional, as a friend of mine theorized where irony is at work and the big bad motherfucker is nothing underneath all that cool armor, but don't expect me to take the death of Han Solo seriously just yet, especially when he gets killed by an asshole on a permanent temper tantrum in a death scene that could have been avoided if someone listened to all that fucking foreshadowing. Even the Resistance barely gave a fuck about his death. Right after the droids found Luke Skywalker again, nobody gave a shit. I wasn't waiting for a funeral procession, but god damn, these people have weaker memories than Guy Pearce ever had in Memento. While we're still on the topic of the bad guys and motivations, the major factions that put the war in Star Wars lack any to begin with. As far as I know, the First Order just restarted the Empire's dumbass idea of making big space guns because, I don't know, fuck those ugly dudes in the Republic. Yes, it's pretty obvious that the Resistance and the First Order represent the good and evil sides of the eternal war of the fates, but that's pretty weak motivation if you ask me. Star Wars is a universe entrenched in unique cultures and politics, as seen in the prequels and whatever the fuck was happening in the expanded universe. So some explaining isn't a luxury, it's a fucking necessity. Before you tell me to fuck off and read the tie-in novels and even more expanded universe bullshit, this is a movie. The lore should be self-contained and self-explanatory, while the book should only add to the movie's world building, not serve as its major backbone. I want to enjoy a movie as is, not having to read through a fucking textbook just to find out why the rebels changed their names and understand what the hell it is they're even resisting against in the first place. That's not to say that The Force Awakens was complete rubbish and didn't do anything right. On the contrary, it was a pretty good movie. The cast was great, the story was fun, and it was an exciting movie overall, and even if it got too familiar at times, what mattered most was its execution, and The Force Awakens did it in such a way that you could overlook all these flaws and not lose anything integral to the experience. The obsession and passion for Star Wars was obvious here, and that alone is something a Star Wars fan could appreciate. I'm not gonna be that pretentious motherfucker and discredit The Force Awakens just because it has way too many similarities to a classic Japanese movie, because by that logic, asshole, I've seen Metal Gear Solid before any of you fuckers even heard of the Phantom Pain. I'm not going to deny that this movie is flawed and it's anything but original, but if you're going to claim that this is the worst movie you've ever seen, consider yourself a very lucky bastard, because I've seen worse. Much, much worse. But since there are 2 more entries left in this Star Wars trilogy, and even if I'm not yet sure about watching those Star Wars spin-off movies, I'm excited. I'm excited for more Star Wars, not just because a franchise from my childhood is back, but because of the promise of something great again. So I'll be hoping here that there'll be less bumps and imitations in the future of Star Wars. Just, please for the love of fuck, don't let that asshole behind Jurassic World fuck up Rey. The last thing we need is a female Jedi with uterus problems who gets clingy over some alpha male asshole that treats her like shit. Because that's obviously how you write women, right? Fuck Jurassic World.